Hello family, Mukhai Sidumela, and welcome to The Voice with me, Palisa. Remember, this is a show for you, by you, with you, giving you a chance to tell your story. And of course, on our show, I bring you inspirational stories, educational stories, informative stories. That's why I have my brother right here, Pagati, inside, the one and the only. I call him my chef, Polo Ramotwala. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm so happy to have you here, finally here, you know.
Yes.
But then, you know, I thought, oh, maybe you're gonna come with a dish or something, some, you know, rejenyana, and show me, you know, how you cook, because I know you're a chef now.
Yeah. I wish I did. I wish I had brought something, but I'm sure next time we can make sure that we have a show where I cook for you. And then,
I'd love that. I mean, I'm going to invite you to my kitchen, then we do a show for you, and then I'm going to let's say what's.
Yeah, I will.
So, now, chef, where did it start, you know? Before I get to know about you. I'm like, because now all of a sudden I just saw in social media, boom, Pulu's cooking now. Now you're a chef. Now, how did it come about?
I was solving my problems, literally.
Problems?
I think it started when I was in boarding school. So I spent most of my, young life in boarding school. So frustration with the food that they were cooking for us. And then by the time I got to university, I'm like, I can do better. And then but when I went into professional training, it's because then I had a chronic condition that kind of forced me to eat certain food. And I was kind of frustrated with what people were serving me. So I'm also lactose intolerant. So I needed to kind of find a way to prepare food that I like. So that's basically how it started. And then I guess the rest is history. I went to a study part-time while I was working. And then after a year, then I got certified as a chef.
A chef. So you guys must know, Nehu, I'm sitting with a chef here. So if you want, to hire a chef in your home for events, please, keep us, just hook us up right here. The email, I'm going to put the email below and Pulu's information so that, I can't So, Obutia, okay, now we can start.
Yes.
Because, I'm really interested to know who are you, how you grew up, and where were you born. Just maybe tell me about your life, a child, like where it all started.
So, I'm Polo. So it's actually Polo Echolo. So big ball. So most people call me Polo. I'm originally from Limpopo, Kimotokwa. So, but I grew up moving around. So I spent my teenage life, in Limpopo. I studied at the University of Limpopo. I did philosophy there. Then I moved to Stellenbosch. I did media. Then I got involved in activism, HIV activism. But there is a story in how I got there, and it started in 1999 when my throat is misbehaving. I hope. I think it started in 1999. So I was a student in Stellenbosch, first year, postgraduate, and then I was not feeling well. Then I went to a doctor, and then the doctor gave me medication and said, "You'll be fine." 2 weeks later, I was still not feeling well. I went back to him and said, "Maybe we should do an HIV test."
How old were you then?
19. So I was 19. And I'm like, oh, okay. And honestly, I agreed because I expected a negative result. So if I knew, I was not going to go, probably. But then, so I tested positive at 19. And then throughout that year, I met a lot of people who are activists. Some of them are quite known, Zaki Ahmad and Mark Haywood. So I got involved in access to treatment and for my own, because I needed treatment also. So after testing positive, I realized that I'm going to need treatment, and it was not available. So my activism life started there, but I've got two siblings, two young sisters. So I'm the eldest, I'm the only boy. And so that's how I got involved in activism. But I also, my background is in media. But I always tell a story that I worked as a journalist for 3 months and I got bored. So I decided, no, this is not for me. So then I think my passion is always been about helping people, empowering people who, whether in health issues, social, you'll find me. Yeah, yeah.
So now take me to the time when you were 19 years old and you went back to the doctor and the doctor told you that you were HIV positive then. Because obviously you said it was in 1999. During those times, you know, there was still so much stigma, you know, around the virus. And obviously you were not so well informed, you know, about HIV AIDS. So how were you feeling? What, you know, went through your mind at that time, your emotions? Was it a shock? Were you scared? Or, you know, what happened to you then?
Let me put it this way. Ask any 19-year-old what their priorities are. Having an illness like HIV, it's not one of them. Now, like you say, in 1999, there was a lot of stigma. In fact, I think it was a year after Gugu Dlamini was stoned to death because she disclosed the HIV status. So it was kind of a scary time to even, you know, talk about your own status. So it took me a while to try to understand what I'm dealing with. I had to understand it for myself. That what is this HIV that it's being talked about? The only thing that I knew, and unfortunately I was in the media space, so you read about people dying, you know, every day. That time, if I remember well, I think there used to be a stat where they said about 500-600 people were dying per day from AIDS, and it was a scary time. So I had to understand HIV for myself. Then I decided, okay, let me meet other people who are living with HIV, and I was lucky enough to meet people who are living with HIV positively. And I'm saying positively because at the time there were people who were thinking, I'm gonna die, so, you know, I might as well just give up. But I met people who brought me here, that I'm sitting with you, and they had such a significant influence in how I looked after myself until treatment was available. I started my treatment, and then I continued to live as healthy as possible. Yeah.
So at that time, you know, as a young boy, you know, who have just been told this news, did you maybe try and find out how you got it? Because, you know, some of the people that, you know, generalize and say maybe one is promiscuous, you know what I mean? Or maybe you were careless, or, you know, did you ever go through or try to see maybe how or what happened with you? Or maybe were you a boy, you were just playing around? Or how can you say, you know, you got infected?
So I know exactly where I got infected and how I got infected. But I think I like that you're saying you are a boy. You know, at that age, we play around. But the interesting thing with me was that I had met this girl that I really liked, and I was willing to give up everything for her. And then we started dating, and then obviously we had a sexual relationship. And before that, I tested for HIV just to make sure that I'm negative. Unfortunately, she didn't test, so it was just me, because I thought I was the busy one. And it turned out that she had HIV. I don't think she knew. Unfortunately, she died a few years later. But I don't believe she knew that she's positive. So I did try to find out. I don't know. So sometimes I look back and I'm like, did I really need to go find out? But I think for closure, sometimes it's important. Sometimes you might not know. I've met people today who have said to me they've been living with HIV. They think they've been living with HIV. No, let me put it this way. I've met somebody who said, I just tested HIV positive last month, but the last time I had sex was 10 years ago. So she's been positive for the past 10 years. So she can't even remember, you know, where, and she can't trace back. So for me, the important thing, Palace, is that yes, we believe that the people need to behave and all that, but that shouldn't be the main issue. The thing is that the person is now living with HIV, and they should be thinking about, how do I live beyond this virus? And in today, living with HIV, you know, it's a lot more, it's manageable as compared to 1999. Yeah.
So throughout now, understanding now, learning, you know, about HIV, did you probably go through, you know, stages where there was stigma around you, where probably people did not maybe want to hire you in workplaces, or be around you, or eat with you, or do anything? Did you maybe experience that maybe in, you know, your journey?
I was telling a group that I was with yesterday that I tend to have a I don't care approach. So I meet you, hi Palesa, Polo, somewhere in the conversation, I have HIV, then I make it your problem. Then, so I've always used that approach, and it worked for me, but it doesn't work for everyone, because I think off camera I was saying that the world is brutal, people stigmatize. I think, I don't want to say, I'm tempted to say I've been lucky, because my environment, I've been in places where people will know that I am living openly with HIV. So if somebody had an opinion, perhaps they'll keep it to themselves, because I'll probably, push back. But in my space, the work that I do, I work with people who experience stigma in different forms. People, somebody refusing to eat with you because you're living with HIV. You'll think it's an exaggeration, but it's actually true that some people will say, I'm not going to use that bathroom because this person is living with HIV, especially in workplaces, but also at homes. I've met people who have been kicked out of their homes because they are living with HIV. Unfortunately, as much as I said we are making progress, they still families, they still workplaces or environments where HIV stigma is still there. Both external stigma by other people, but also internalized stigma, where some people are living with HIV. There is a bit of shame that maybe people, like you said, people will think I was promiscuous. That time a person was raped. That time a person got HIV from a stable relationship, from marriage, but because of how we treat HIV and how it's perceived in some sectors or settings, then people think that they did something wrong. And I always say people that you did not do anything wrong by having sex. That's how most people get HIV. Yeah.
So now maybe can you explain to us, I know that it's out there, and just to reiterate, what is the difference between HIV and AIDS? Because you do get people when you say you HIV, it's about, only AIDS, you have AIDS, you know what I mean? And things like that. And at that time maybe it's explained as it's just a virus. Maybe because now you are positive and you've learned and you know much about it. Can you explain to our viewers what is the difference, or what also they can do, not just to manage the HIV, so that you don't get to the stage of dying, and when and how do you, or how long would it take from being HIV to ending up being AIDS?
So I don't have AIDS, and I've never had AIDS, and a person does not get infected with AIDS. So AIDS is just a stage in HIV progression. I don't know if that makes sense. So a person gets infected with HIV only. So you can never get infected with AIDS. So, and it's important to differentiate, because sometimes when you say, that person only AIDS, it creates an impression that they are somewhere at their last stage or an advanced stage of living with HIV, because AIDS, that's basically what it is. A person being at an advanced stage of HIV. Now, in 2025, nobody should still have AIDS, Palesa. No one. And let me explain why I believe nobody should have AIDS. There is enough medical care for people to take in order to remain HIV positive. So once a person gets infected with HIV, it stays in the body. Then to be able to manage it, there is antiretroviral treatment. I should have brought one of my pill boxes. You take antiretrovirals to manage the virus, and then those antiretrovirals, then they manage the progression. So they suppress the virus to the lowest level possible, and that allows a person to be healthy. I'm on treatment. I've been on treatment, so I've been living with HIV for 27 years now.
Wow, so long. Wow.
So it's
and look at you, you're healthy, you're handsome. But now. So we're actually celebrating 27 years now.
The anniversary was last week, I think.
Oh, wow.
Was it last week or this week? This week actually. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So the treatment has helped, but also the support. Having support, because one of the challenging things about living with a medical condition is that mentally it affects you sometimes. You get tired, or hey guys, I'm tired of taking medication. So having a good support system is important. And what you eat also, we spoke about me being a chef and how I end up, cooking, because I'm like, if I can't get it at a restaurant or, wherever, I'm going to make it myself, and that has helped me. And I'm not saying everybody must be a chef, but what you eat is also important, because food, it's a very, very integral part of our lives, So it's, I think, to go back to your question, we need to understand that AIDS and HIV is not the same thing. The virus is HIV. That's what a person gets infected with. AIDS, it's a stage. And like I said today, nobody should have AIDS. If a person, can I look into one of the cameras?
Yes.
If a person, if you're living with HIV today, you should not have AIDS. You must go to a doctor, ask for, understand what antiretroviral treatment are. And I know people, Palesa, would say that, no, but antiretrovirals have side effects. Yes, they might have side effects, but you can talk to somebody and they can explain those side effects for you. One of the examples is that I used to take my pills at night. And the reason I would take them at night is because I'll take them and then I'll feel dizzy. So I would take them right before I go to bed. And then I spoke to my doctor and he said, no, there's new medication that you can take in the morning. And then now I've switched, I take the new one in the morning, and I'm here. So yeah.
Oh, wow. No, your story is a very inspirational one. So now my other question is, right, you would have people that would say that traditional medicine works better than, this other, or the ARVs or anything like that. And what would you say about it? Have you ever tried maybe to look at the herbs, and do they really work, or can they also limit the virus?
What I know, and I know it's been talked about, is people who use herbs to supplement their immune system. So there's a difference between supplementing your immune system and directly fighting the virus. So antiretrovirals, what they do, they go and then, so what HIV does is that it attacks your cells. And then antiretrovirals, they build a shield around your cells so that then HIV does not duplicate. And then the herbs that I'm aware of is that then it's more of immune booster. I survived with immune boost. Before treatment, the only thing that the doctor will preach is that boost your immune system. And it's still important that you need to boost your immune system, because when you boost your immune system, it allows your CD4 cells to reproduce more. But it does not take away the virus. The virus is still there, and the virus is still duplicating. They might be duplicating almost at the same level. I think the important thing that people must also think about when you are taking herbs is that if your virus is still high, you just go into a viral load test. If you're taking herbs, take a viral load test. If your virus is still high, then it means that it's not managed. And unfortunately, a person who's got a high viral load, they're more infectious. And what I mean is that you are more likely to infect your partner with HIV if your viral load is high. So there are implications to not managing your viral load. And I'm not saying people should not take herbs, but know what you're taking. Some people will take herbs that causes diarrhea. And then now, why would you want to deal with diarrhea? What else, you are? I don't know. For me, I think just know what you're taking. For me, that's important. That would be my advice.
But when it comes to especially the medication, there's been people that have said that some ARVs, they deform their bodies, and we've seen some of them. Some of the people that be a little bit deformed, or maybe it's FOMO, or having lumps in. What kind of medication, or what is the best medication to take when you are positive, or maybe when you have HIV or AIDS, so that you don't get deformed? Because I know there's different types of medications. Which are the ones that you're taking? Because you're looking so normal and so handsome, you know what I mean? But then you do get other people that you say, clearly she or he's taking that medication. So what is the best medication basically for HIV?
So I don't want to get into trouble, and I'm not a doctor. So I can tell you, I take I forgot the name now. So they are called TLDs. So that's the new generation. They are three in one. It's just I take one pill, and then Tolidovir. I forgot what it's called. Mm-hmm. So that's the one that I take. But there are people who take the same pill who then gain weight. Mm-hmm. So it could work well for me and then might not work well for another person. So for me, it's important to have a conversation with your healthcare provider. And it's important that once a person starts taking medication, you know your body. You know your body. Once you start feeling like something is different, go back and don't say, I think, I feel like sometimes we give our doctors too much leeway to dismiss things that we are genuinely seeing or feeling. So if you're feeling that you're getting deformed, and then they say, no, don't worry about that, go get a second opinion. Mm-hmm. Because it might be that you just need to be taken off that medication and then be put on something else, and then you're fine. So it's also important that as the person who's taking the medication, you educate yourself. You need to educate yourself so that you can ask the right question when you go to a doctor. I'm also diabetic, by the way. And when I go to my doctor, I interrogate him. He knows. What about this? What about this? Because I read and try to make sure that I ask the question that will benefit me. So that's very important also. Yeah.
So on another note, I know that you're married, right? Like
yeah.
I see you always posting with your family, with your daughter. You don't see her face, but on TikTok, she always asks you, Daddy, why did you disclose? Daddy, why? You know? And I'm like, that is awesome. So I want to understand, like, you were positive and now you're married. How did you meet your partner? And did you have to disclose at that time, you know, that where you were positive, and how did she take it? Or was it a matter of saying, I'm going to look for somebody who's positive so that she understands, and then afterwards you went on to have children? And some people are saying, you're highly positive, you can't be making babies, and yet in these days, you know, there are women that I've heard, especially on social media, to say, but I've been positive and I've given birth. You know what I mean? So can you tell me about your journey meeting your better half, your beautiful wife, and you having such a beautiful family?
So it's actually a funny story, because I thought she knew that I'm positive, so I didn't tell her. So I thought she knew, and we were having a conversation, and then I referred to myself, like, and you know, by the way, this is what I do. Then I get a look like, okay, what are you talking about? And then oops. And then I'm like, how? I thought you knew, because I talk about my state. Yeah, I'm open. And then that started a conversation right there that, no, actually I didn't know. But the way that I approached it is to explain to her. So I think because she was already in the space, so she knew enough about HIV. And then it was more of us, are you on treatment? What's your viral load? And then the conversation became more about educating her about my health status. And that helped her to understand that, okay, I'm dealing with somebody who's looking after himself, and her understanding that, you know, HIV does not mean death sentence, then kind of made the environment good for us to have a what I would say a normal relationship. But I've met people whom disclosure becomes an issue. They disclose and then the guy runs away, and I'm like, okay, you run away, you're going to meet another person, they don't tell you about their status, but they are living with HIV, and then you like them, and then what? So I find that having a conversation about HIV in advance is important, but it's also how. I think from a person who's living with HIV who wants to disclose, my advice is always that test the ground first. Don't just say I have HIV. No, don't. Try to ask the person basic questions about, what do you think about HIV? Or somebody came to work, or I saw this thing, what do you think? You'll get a lot of information from those comments for you to determine whether you should proceed or not. Back to my family. My daughter, actually, this morning I was looking, my daughter, the older one, I have two daughters. The older one, she did a video, I think she was 12, where she was talking about HIV. So I've been trying to find it. I know it's somewhere in my archives. So we talk. we talk about HIV, we talk about me, because I want them to understand where I am. I want them to understand that I talk about HIV to help other people. I talk about my medical conditions to help other people. So it's more of educational. And it was not planned that they will be blended into these conversations. But I actually find that I enjoy them having conversations with me. Keeping them behind the camera is intentional. Maybe one day we'll do like a full one. But yeah, I think HIV, it's in a lot of homes, Paris. It's there. We talk about it, we don't talk about it. You have 8 million people living with HIV in this country. So you are more likely to have a family member who's living with HIV. So it's important that we accept that it's there. In relationships, if you are going to judge a person because they are living with HIV, I don't see why. I'm yet to see somebody who has a good reason to say, I don't want a person who's living with HIV because I'm not going to touch you and infect you with HIV. If with my treatment being virally suppressed and you know there's this thing called U equals U, I literally can have sex with somebody now with low viral load and not expose this person to HIV, but that's another topic. But people must Google U equals U and understand what it's all about, because it's there and there's science that shows that the treatment that we are taking prevents us from infecting other people with HIV when you are taking it properly. Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to understand on that one, right? If you are negative and your partner is positive, is there treatment that you can take so that your partner doesn't infect you? You know, just so that just on a safe, or maybe would it always have to be that you always have to now use, would you need to condomize always, or you can maybe use you know, have intercourse without a condom? Is there something or a treatment that the other partner who is negative can take so that she's not infected?
So I think it's always advisable to use protection when so depending on your relationship. We are adults, so let's say depending on the type of relationship you have. If you're in a type of relationship where there is a risk of exposure, it's not just HIV that we're talking. There are STIs that one can get. So condoms are important. But if sorry, to ask you, to answer your question around we call post-exposure and pre-exposure prophylaxis. So you hear people talking about PEP, not the store, but a post-exposure prophylaxis. That's the one that is used if a person got exposed to HIV. Now you want to reduce the risk of them HIV, like I'll use the example like that the virus attaches to the cells. So there's a window period. If a person is exposed to HIV, within that period, if a person takes medication called PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis, which is basically antiretrovirus, it reduces the risk of infection. But now we've got something called PrEP, pre-exposure. So in a relationship, some people will take the medication in advance in order to reduce the risk of infection if their partner is living with HIV. So there are all these different options that one can use in order to reduce the risk of infection. And I have to say, I'm one of those people who are skeptical with this medication. Honestly, I think U equals U, it took a lot of time to be convinced that it works. But you look at the science, you look at my children are negative, my partner is negative. So there's the science that confirms that the treatment works. You just need to understand what you're taking, and you need to take it properly.
And on a partner that is positive and another partner is positive, does that not increase also the chances of
reinfection?
Of reinfection?
Yes. So again, it's also if you are both virally suppressed, so the virus is suppressed, so you are undetectable. And guys, I'm not preaching no condom use. You must. The next thing I'm saying that there is medication that when you take medication, then the virus is undetectable. Then having unprotected sex, there is no risk, but there is a risk if there is gonorrhea, if there is syphilis. Those ones, the antiretrovirals have got nothing to do with them. So I think you need to look at your own situation and say, is my relationship at a level where if we are both virally suppressed, if we are having unprotected sex, what's the risk of us dealing with gonorrhea or dealing with others because syphilis or hepatitis, you know? So it needs a level of education so that you don't end up getting exposed to something else, a hepatitis, for example, what else you could have prevented by using protection. So education in when there's HIV in a relationship is important. Yeah.
So let's talk about the organization that you work for. What is it that you do there, and where are we now, you know, with HIV/AIDS in South Africa?
So the person who pays my bill, or the organization that pays my bill, is South African National AIDS Council. But so I'm a technical advisor, but my work is around human rights for key populations. So making sure that sex workers' rights are protected because they are still human beings, adolescents and young people, people who use drugs, transgender persons, men having sex with men. So my job is to make sure that their rights are protected. Whether you say sex work is illegal, yes, but these people are still human beings. So my job is to make sure that we have a provision, or when the police, we train the police on, we call them human rights sensitization, where we train them that when you arrest somebody, yes, you might say that they are breaking the law, but they're still human beings. You can't keep them in a prison cell over the weekend and not charge them, or keep them in a van and then drive with them overnight and then drop them. You know, they still have rights. So that's what I do. And then in terms of community system strengthening, what we do is to empower communities to be able to take up making sure that services in health facilities are up to a certain level. If there is no treatment, it's called community-led monitoring. If there is no treatment, then they report to say there is no Panado, there is no whatever. It's not just with HIV. Then that's what I do. Then I run another forum called Life Beyond. That's not linked to SANAC. Life Beyond, it's my pet project where I just tell people that everything has got life beyond. If you want to live life beyond HIV, you have to want it. And there is life beyond HIV. I'm living life beyond HIV. I have HIV, but it's not a priority for me. I do other things. So that's my focus. I tell people there's life beyond divorce. There's life beyond being broke. You know, it's all this. So that's my pet project, and I'm working on trying to build that one. Yeah.
And then I also heard, like I saw somewhere on social media that South Africa has found a cure for HIV. Is that true, or would you know anything about it?
I know a little bit about it. What I know is that it's still a study. It's conducted, I think it's UKZN with some research organization. So what they've seen now is that for just over a year or 2 years, the people that they are working with have not shown HIV in their body because of the medication that they are using. But I think what as much as I'm excited that then this is a breakthrough, I think it's still a study. So it needs to confirm that you know, we have found a cure. Let me give you another example. Recently, we've been talking about something called the injectables. HIV injectables is the one they inject, and then there's one for 2 months, there's one for 6 months. I don't think in South Africa they're available. Even those ones, when they came out, it was a breakthrough to say, hey, we don't have to take antiretroviral treatment every day, it's for 6 months. I think this one that you're referring to, I hope that, you know, in the next 2-3 years, they'll say, hey, we found a solution, a permanent one, and I'll be excited. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And then what do you think of, you know, when Trump came out, and then remember he was saying that he's going to pull out, I think he said he's going to pull out the treatments or the ARVs from South Africa. What did you say about that?
I hope I'm not going to go to the US anytime soon. But,
I know.
But yeah, the Trump thing caused chaos. I think in my work, it has directly affected services a lot. Clinics have closed down. But it's so I'm from Mutoko. At home, the clinic there, it was one of the most efficient clinics. Like, it's in a village, but you get there, you file, you know where you're finding it. Like, it's in a system, like all that. that was funded by USAID. And that person just overnight, they got pulled. I actually am going home this Easter weekend, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen when I get there, because I'm going to go to the clinic. So people have lost services, and unfortunately it's what we call vulnerable communities. It's people, I think, especially men having sex with gay men, transgenders. Already they're experiencing stigma and discrimination in public facilities. So these clinics that were created so that they can service them directly, they created a safe space for them. And now that safe space is gone. So now a person has to go to Hillbrow Clinic and then have to explain that, no, I'm a transgender person. And I'm not saying that our health facilities will not assist, but it was better when those safe spaces were available for them. Unfortunately, I always say Trump happened. Trump happened and we are here, but it looks like the government is trying to come up with solutions. It's going to take time. But if a person who's struggling now, and then especially those who got affected by the vulnerable communities, you're going to have to just try. Just try, go to that clinic, talk to the healthcare worker, explain if they are treating you badly, report them. Yeah.
So thank you, Polo, for coming. But just on a lighter note, right? I'm going to play a game with you.
Okay.
I call this, my lucky jar. I want you to just grab at least maybe 3 of these, and then maybe just read it for me. Just
okay, 3.
Number 1, yeah, first.
Okay, I must take out
first one. Yeah.
Okay.
Then what does it say?
Call your parent and guardian and explain the story of creation to them. Story of creation.
Yes.
As in religious.
Maybe. In the beginning.
In the beginning. Okay, I'll call my guardian because my parents are, hi, Rangwani. Hi, Palis. Can I try another one?
I'm going to try another one, okay.
Yes, sure, yes, yeah. This one is a bit tricky.
How to be Biblia, how?
No, actually. No. Name the 12 disciples or sing a psalm. My wife is going to kill me.
You don't know the 12 disciples? Or
so actually, I do. Who are the 12 disciples? So I did religious studies. I don't remember them. I don't remember them.
Now you're failing for the second time.
No. Yeah. Let's try one more.
Matthew, Mark, the one who betrayed Jesus. At least name that one. The one who betrayed Jesus.
Who's the guy who betrayed?
Pontius Pilato. Judas. Oh, please, your wife must definitely get. How should Judas Iscariot?
My mother-in-law is
that one?
Speak only in 2 questions for the next 2 hours.
That one we don't have already.
We don't have 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
One last one.
We'll try another one.
Yeah.
Guys, don't judge me. Let the group decide a new nickname for you and use it for the rest of the day. Hey, I've heard some crazy nicknames. One that I've heard was, so I used to be chubby in boarding school. So they used to call me Jumbo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that in high school they used to call me Jumbo. At home when I was still young, because I'm light-skinned, so they used to call me the Bure.
Oh, wow.
And I used to kind of match it. I'll wear my parents will buy me like those brown shorts and all that. So those are the nicknames that
Jumbo.
Yeah, no.
But people don't call Polo Jumbo, right? So where can people get hold of you? Maybe if they need advice or maybe.
So mostly my social media accounts are the same. It's at Polo Ramotwala. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the 3. Oh, and YouTube also. But I think I'm
YouTube,
more.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Kind of.
Why don't I know about it? Because we need to subscribe. Hey?
I think I've just been uploading stuff, but I'm not really.
What's your handle?
It's Polo Ramotwala also.
Hey, Owami, we need to subscribe to Polo Ramotwala. Okay, we're gonna please get on my ninja and subscribe now.
Yeah, please. So
awesome.
And YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Awesome.
So I'm more engaging on TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So
just send us his handles.
Yes, I'll do that.
So what message can you give to our viewers, Mother Voice?
My message is this. There is life beyond whatever medical condition that you've got. If you are living with HIV today, it's not end of the world. And do not let it control the things that you want to do. You can have a whole life, full life with a medical condition. And anything else that, we always deal with setbacks, but we can live beyond those setbacks. You just need to be determined and focused to say, this is what I can do. And don't ever think you can do things alone. There are always people out there who can help you. You just need to find them. I know we have people, but ask for help if you're stuck. That will be my message.
Thank you so much, Obuti.
Thank you for inviting me.
Such an honor. Yeah. And I'm definitely going to have you, but next time you go into the kitchen.
Perfect.
Right? Mukhaitsu, thank you so much. I hope this episode was informative to you. I hope this episode was inspiring. And of course, I hope this episode, will change people's lives. As you heard, Polo Ramotwala said, there is life beyond. So I just hope that, we go out there. We are all infected in some way. And of course, we are all affected. All we need to do is to give support. Give support and get ourselves information and know more about our status. But anyway, this episode was brought to you by Mupandi Studios all the way from Bryanston. Please keep subscribing, keep sharing, and keep liking. Until next time, stay blessed.
This is Colonia. We've got foundations, blushes, and our nice matte lipsticks.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
And you've got all the colors, right?
Different colors.
And here, I love like my lips. I love my lipstick. Just
die for.
Show me around here at VMG.
Definitely. So this part here is our student section where they practice their makeup on a daily basis. And then this beautiful corner is for our walk-in clients.
Oh,
this is where we do their makeup.
With Colonia.
With Colonia. Now this is the specific lipstick that I wanted you to try on that everyone is raving about.
I think this will look beautiful with the brown liner, right?
Definitely, it would blend very nicely.
Well, as you can see, family, we are available in Soweto. If you want Colonia, come to BMT. Right here, BMT Artistry.